so we're going to talk a whole lot today.
Perfect. All right. So anyway, what's up, guys? John Sintez. Obviously, you can tell we have a awesome human in here. Our boy Marc Paul, MP3. I am so excited to have a conversation with my friend here because he has, I feel like, been just projecting my thoughts so much about the experience of how travel ball has been going lately, and I just can't wait to provide my side of the story to this whole situation as well, because you know everything that happens inside of the baseball world is definitely something that people need to understand perspectives from. And I'm on the other side of it. I'm 37. I still throw baseballs. I had a lot of people told me I'd never throw baseballs again. I'm up to 88, and I am the hippo. And if you think your kid is good enough to hit me, then he might be able to play in the big leagues. But at that point, we at least have a sparring center over here in San Diego where we can play baseball 24 hours a day, 7 days a week in real scenarios, 60 feet 6 inches, real baseballs, none of this time limit stuff. None of these things that are created for opportunities, because if you're good, you're good. And that's what people can't necessarily understand all the time. So without further ado, I like to do it this way, especially since we don't know too much about each other. But I like to get the origin story from the beginning, so it creates a nice path. I kind of have a feeling where we're going with it, but the accent gives it away. I'm from Destin, Florida. And so I know exactly what's going on over there. And so, just seeing how things are, why don't you introduce yourself to our audience?
My name is Marc Paul. 2 years ago, I made some videos about travel ball parents, and it started to grow a little bit of a following where I really just kind of had a niche market where it just kind of targeted just the travel ball parents. And so come out with some T-shirts, some sunglasses, ended up getting fired, a year and a half ago. And now I've got three businesses, and I get flown around the country to do, I'm speaking at things now, talking about travel ball. The videos have actually became more of a positive now, which has been, people's been writing me being like, hey, this helps me decide, whether or not I want to get involved in this. And now I've been kind of like, really just kind of dissecting the whole sport and trying to be a positive face for it to make travel ball great again. So there you go.
Yeah, I love that. The perspective that I always like that you show is the thing that I grew up on. I'm from a small town, not a baseball area. And I didn't really get to play travel ball that much, which I played up, and I didn't know I played 2 years above my age, but I was just as big as those kids, and I had no idea. I was just getting blown off by the speed of what the game was around me at that age. Being 13, playing with 15-years-olds, those are grown men. 13 and 15-year-olds should be on the same field, right?
There is a lot. Yeah, no, man, there are some serious levels to this that I've been involved in now. And oh my gosh, is it it's different in every state, like and I don't think a lot of people really realize that. Most people hear travel ball, they think, oh, it's expensive. Well, it depends on the level you're on. And, you may be in a little small town, Kentucky versus, Dallas, Texas, and now that can be a little different, because you're not going to one field every single weekend playing the same teams in a community with about 10 travel ball teams. There used to be 3, but some dad got mad, decided to create his own team. Now you got, 5, 6 more with, just kind of one good kid and the rest bunch, pick it. And it's a whole thing. And, then you get to the level of you got people flying kids around everywhere, and they're all getting paid to play, and you don't have to be 18 to do that, you know, and whether or not you're getting paid or not, you're still being brought to places at a young age to play, and there's a lot to that, and a lot of drama, a lot of money, and so there's a wide range of travel ball across the United States.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things we talk about, we consider ourselves a serious gym, but anybody of skill can start. We just have all the toys that the big leaguers have, so it makes it more fun. And then we really focus on live at bats. That's our whole goal. And so we provide a sparring situation for baseball players that maybe don't play on the weekend, or you didn't get enough work, and you can actually go in and compete against kids in your age range and your skill range to be able to get the competitive reps necessary. Because that's actually what we're selling. if we really want to throw it down, we're selling total number at bats between 3 games, which is not baseball.
Yeah.
Right? That's where the time limits and the stuff come into it. So when you break it down to at bat per at bat and you start looking at it, like, it gets real expensive. I agree with you. You know?
No, I mean it's a lot of time. You really got it's a commitment. And sometimes you wonder, if it's more of the parent or the kids, and it depends on the age too. It's a lot different. 7 years old versus a 13-year-old. It's a little different. Multiple sports, and there's so many different pieces to this.
So I have a question for you about, so I have a question for you into this idea, because I have a little different perspective of this. I was obsessive. This is the only thing I ever wanted to do since 12. And if I would have been in an academy, kind of like myself, that we have our membership where we have our kids that we see every day, but we're attacking all the aspects of baseball. You're not just throwing bullpens every day. You're working out, you're doing speed training, you're hitting, you're throwing med balls, you're catching, you're doing defensive drills, and then also you're studying, because we watch the game as well. And so I think the discipline of baseball is actually one of the positive things that you can have kids, where they actually learn the work ethic of going at something every day. And it's a little bit more on that martial arts style of what happens. And so I think that illusion is actually what travel ball is kind of brought into when we have these team practices, but the rep quality count isn't as high as it should be.
No, and then you can talk about, how many days a week do you practice with your team versus do you do, just a hitting or a pitching coach. Certain kids don't go to practices all the time. A lot of them live farther. A lot of kids nowadays are also getting, they all live in different states, so they meet up once a month to practice one time a month, and then most of the time they're just doing some one-on-one things, and they do that at a young level too. You can do. I've seen 11-year-olds do that now.
Yeah, we call that professional 12-year-olds for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a huge issue, honestly. I think it's kind of fun, really. It just depends on if your kid likes it. A lot of parents, I like to leave it up to the kids, a little as much as you can, it's not, it feels like it's somewhat of their decision, and that's how I raise my kids,
Yeah.
I'm getting ready to park here. I'm in a car. We're getting ready
You're
to
good, man.
I'm gonna be in a better spot, so I apologize.
No, you're good. It's been working out great. No big deal. So, let's get into everybody's favorite part here, the parents, right? You have exposed some etiquette that I feel like is very helpful in the baseball world, because there is a certain etiquette that we are missing when we have parents participating in the game. And like so I played in Mexico for 8 years, and they don't talk to the players like at all. They cheer them on, but nobody's communicating directly. Like nobody's, saying things to the players or to the umpires. It's a different environment.
I've met some people. Yes, I do actually. I've got a friend of mine whose son played for me, and he is from the Dominican Republic, and he's like, he's real. You don't play no more. And he was like, "You're good enough to keep playing." I'm like, "Yeah, dude." And he's got such a look. If you're not good enough, you just can't play. And I was like, and he was just straight up with it, and it was such a different deal than anything that I'm dealing with, in Kentucky. And so, and the kids are the same age. It's a different kind of deal out there. And I went to the DR, and I was there on vacation, and it was really, it was wild, because them kids over there didn't have hardly anything, and they just played baseball. And it really is what you hear, and that's just how it goes there. It's just a complete different thing. I'm sorry, I'm in a wrong place. I'm ready to go about now. Mason, can you give me a little tripod? All right, sorry about that, man.
You're good, bud.
My screen.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, like the exactly what so I got to go to the academies in Mexico, and I got to see how they train, and what their process is, and I see it counter what is actually happening, right? You have your national clubs. I don't want to call them any amount, but there's a little bit of a tier system to work yourself up through those national clubs in order to be in those expensive prospect showcase teams and tournaments, right? But as far as what the game is, especially for like when it comes from a Dominican or Mexican, Latin, we call it just the Latin style. The process is just more about an everyday training. Like you just go to the field every day and train, and then you might play on Friday. You know what I mean? And so like the sparring part of live at bats and what actually creates good baseball players, because like I have so many opinions on this because the system that taught me the game failed me. I was all state, 2 no-hitters, 86 miles an hour. Nobody cared. I was playing against guys that threw 95. This was in 2004, right? They got drafted. They went to Florida State. They did all the things. But I had the 5 or 6 pitches and I was good, but I didn't qualify speed enough to be taken seriously, if that makes sense. And that's actually how the game is being tested internationally, is like your speed of the pitch and the speed to which you hit qualifies you into the ranking system that puts you where you are fast tracked to the big leagues or not. And that's how Acuna's brother got $6 million. That's how Soto's brother got $8 million, right? It's because they can project them, because power and speed take longer to develop than skill.
Well, all right. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. But that's what we're doing. We're trying to change exactly. Like that's what's funny about what you're saying, because you at least from my perspective, what you're saying, like I'm just laughing because this is what I experienced. I experienced this side of it where you had people that were not directly affecting the game. So I like to ask these questions, right? Like, how many positions are there in baseball?
There's no telling anymore these days.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's so many. I mean, I don't know. There's so many different moving parts with a game that used to seem so simple now, and it's just gotten to a. It didn't seem like whenever, like the Bulls with Jordan, like kind of everybody stayed on one team, and then it was like, well, now we're going to pair up with each other, and then it was like, well, why don't college kids get paid? And then it was like, well, shoot, man, I want to go to this high school because this kid's going there, and now we're getting paid, and then now you're down at the lower level, and it's the same thing, and everything mimics, what's going on up here, and so I do feel like, and then going back on the travel deal, it's just I feel like we're a bunch of parents who have these little clients, and we're raising them and we're promoting them, on our platforms. And, it's just all about that money. And it's just, there's so many people involved in it now. And it's just gotten so big. And I got so much going on with my phone. It's got things coming in and everything's going on.
We're in the internet knows we are here now.
Oh my gosh, man! But yeah, and I'm trying so hard to pay attention. This whole deal I've got set up, I don't want to start touching anything because I'm afraid that it's going to shut off again.
Yeah, for sure.
I've never done a video live on Instagram, I guess, like this. So I don't know. I promise I'm not that much of a moron. I got 3 companies and I've got, websites.
I'm going
to cut all that part out right there. Right?
Yeah. No, you're good, man. It's great.
Cool, man.
It's all this is, I'm not like, this is amazing that it's this simple, right? Like,
it really, yeah. I mean,
you know
it
what I'm
really
saying?
is. Like,
I've been following you for a while. I like to have conversations, and the perspective that you bring and the comedy that you bring is just, it lightens the mood, because, we're not trying to win. Like it says USSSA World Series, but it's not. It's not.
No.
It's not in it. You know what I mean?
No, and there's a whole bunch of those.
Right. And it is great that
I went to the same World Series 3 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
It was just neat to break them down into some things. And now, granted, you can kind of, once you get deep into it, you know who's playing where now, and that is kind of cool that I'm able to see it on a higher level. But like, not a lot of people get that opportunity to really know. Like, are we like what counts as what? And I was talking the other day with some moms. It was actually Jose Trevino's mom, and she was even talking about how, showcases are real popular now. Like if you want your kid to be seen, and I know people are like, well, it's a pay to play. No, like they say it's not high school. They said their kids are playing in the majors. They said 100% is the showcases where people checking those kids out, where they go pay to play to show their kids off. And you hear that more and more the older they get. It's just trying to convince, a 9-year-old parent why their son didn't do well in the home run derby that they put the little fence up 100 feet away from home plate and he didn't get his ring. And so, that kind of junk stuff.
Well, I think it's the culture of what the conversations happen across America, because we want to be fair, but we don't want to hurt feelings, and that's just not what sport is.
Yeah, that's kind of like my videos the way I do them. I knew it just is funny. I started just acting like people, and it was like, you're not going to make anybody mad if you make fun of yourself.
Yeah.
Having said that, you in the early days you were targeting people that you didn't know, but then you've seen it from a broader perspective, and you're like, man, everybody's dealing with this. So how do you just put it on one family? Like this is going around everywhere, and it's not just baseball; it's soccer and wrestling and dance and cheer and synchronized swimming and everything else. I mean, it's a whole and I just really just tried to, and I didn't even realize I was doing it. Just now it's just, let's just try and make it a little better, and I'm trying to do. I just came out today with some sliding mitts, and they wasn't anything. They actually were pretty affordable. I just wanted to bring light to the umpire situation. On top of them, they say I love umps, and a percentage of that is going to the umpire association. I can't remember the VSMO. I can't remember the initials of it, but we literally just did this today. And just to help them with a little bit goes to help them learn. And I'm not saying that they're doing anything wrong. It's just, hey guys, these people are making $50 to $75 an hour during a game.
Zero training. Let's just talk about it.
Yeah, leave them
zero training.
And they're doing their best, and they're trying to just make a little extra money watching some 9-year-old games, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and I know it's everywhere. But if you're not playing on ESPN or in East Cobb or a handful of these top places, and you're playing in Mount Washington, Kentucky out here, and you're such and such friends, it's all right. We're not gonna. We're not going to pull Game Changer up in an hour and be like, see, I knew this was wrong. You're fine for tomorrow. You can't come back on Sunday championship. And I'm like, what? And next thing you know, you're fighting and you're like an idiot on social media, and it's just everybody's mad.
Yeah.
Don't do that, And I'm like, it's not that big of a deal, man. You know what I mean? It's like, come on. Like, you're going to just be nice. Another call will go your way. Just shut your mouth, and then you get pissed off. And I'm kind of like, yeah, screw them. He's safe. But I don't know. I'm trying to do the little bit that I can, to help bring light to something that really is a lot of fun. I mean, we have a ball at these things. Every single weekend I go to these things. It is a blast, and the thing is, I dread it all the way up until that day. I don't want to go. God, we're playing again this weekend, man. It's an hour and a half drive. Got to be there by 7 a.m. And then you get there, and it's like, yeah, well, I guess I will have one of those.
Yeah, like the game itself, I definitely, I've been involved in I'm a pitching director for an organization out here for a while, and now we're going to start our own team and fight the fight as well. And there's just some strategies and stuff that I don't think we're incorporating enough into travel ball, like not enough pitching. Like the way I grew up is like all 15 kids that I played with growing up, we all pitched. Like everybody pitched.
Yeah, that's what I played. I had a team that I put together for a tournament, and I made sure I had all of them could pitch. And you do get in a case where it's funny, we were talking about this earlier, you get to a scenario where you may have 2 or 3 kids that can pitch at a young age, and then one of them's your catcher. And then you're like, wow, that kid threw 300 balls this weekend at max speed, and you're thinking, he fired that ball down third and second all the time. Then he goes and pitches tomorrow, and then you're like, man, and that, and a lot of these coaches will hang on the kids that are good and then save them. And then, the other kids, they'll give them an opportunity at a young age to start throwing. That may be, I know 6-year-olds right now that are doing pitch. They'll teach them how to pitch now.
Yeah.
They'll play a couple pitch games. And I personally don't think it's awful. And what's a big deal? Throw a couple balls and just give them a heads up.
Two ways
post pitch, machine pitch,
sure.
sling pitch. Sure. I mean, you got to figure out something. You go anywhere you want with that stuff,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a big piece that we talk about over here. So my sob story is I make it through college, figure it out. I get talked into changing the way I'm throwing my senior year. I snap my elbow, get 2 surgeries, come back, go from 0 to 96, and I haven't stopped throwing in 14 years. And the stuff I'm throwing tomorrow, I throw tonight. I do it a cool class where I call Advanced BP, where I basically throw a 50-foot short box to kids. We split them up into teams on the hitch racks, and we just play games, like literally. And I have a level system for them to pick how hard they want the at bat to be. Yeah. And so, like, it makes it really
I mess
fun.
around on them things. We have one in my area. He did a lot. Little hitch racks deal.
Yeah. So one of the things that I think is going on is we're not actually like counting total throws. And so, like, that entire process of the arm is just disrespected on how we train it. And so that is actually what I believe is causing more problems than anything, because when you go watch their
total amount of throws.
Yeah, so like a
lot of people base it on maximum effort throws is when they start counting, because you can technically throw the ball, 80 feet easy,
So
in a way.
Let's talk. Perfect. Let's talk about that, right?
Yeah.
Your son throws how many pitches in his last outing?
So Jalen is around 60, 80 is where he's at.
So let's just consider that as far as like the health meter of the arm, right? Let's consider that. What would you consider that total? Obviously, that's not maximum capacity.
Oh, no.
So is he?
How hard is he throwing every one of them?
I mean, like, think of it like a video game. We can generalize some of these ideas and understand a little bit easier about throwing arm economy, right? So, like, total energy, right? In the day of total energy and total arm energy, he throws 65 pitches and 100 is his capacity. In the math, he's used 65% of his total energy available, right?
Yes, that makes sense.
Where did he go after that? What position did he go?
Third usually.
Okay. So he's still got to do the warm-up throws after that. If he has a backhand play that he has to put some.
To be really fair, my son usually pitches the whole game.
Perfect.
They don't ever pull ahead. So
no, I love it.
And that's actually he's got and I'm gonna get into stats, but no, if you're asking if he goes to catcher, no, or if he goes to short or second, no, or he's in the I personally don't have an issue with him sitting the bench.
Perfect.
Personally.
Is there a second game? Is there a second game?
Yeah, but he would most likely play third after that. Yeah.
So there's more throwing again.
There is, but I mean, you got to think you're not talking about 60. You're not, but and that's where I think as a parent, it depends on your child's condition. I think certain kids are built different than others. I think some of them. I know a lot of kids that go out there and throw as hard as they can right out of the gate. Versus, hey, you need to stop here and warm up at 20 feet and back up 5 steps, then go to you're standing still until 50. Now you're taking your one step and throw after 50 feet, to where it's like, and that's just I've just been taught, like, you stand still, where you're 46 at 9 and 10, 50 and 11 and 12, and then you move it up, and once you get past that, then it's a step throw. Right. It's not just every time. So, I don't, I think it's important to ice at a certain age, and curveballs come into play also. How many curveballs you throwing? I mean, I know there's been a lot of kids that have that issue here, when they throw that ball versus, now you've got the little league elbow deal going on around here, which is just torque, which it's also not a bad deal to have. Whether or not your kid pitches or not, my son was pitching just fine, and we still got him involved with the pitching coach just because I needed him to make sure that his mechanics were right. And now, the guy he's working with is like, listen, if you do it like this, you're taking some of the torque off your elbow to where you're not going to have issues until you're maybe 18 instead of 12. I know all kind of kids right now with that little league elbow, and I know some of them even had surgery on the Tommy John deal.
Right.
And, I know a lot of kids bouncing back and forth between pitching and catcher, and to be fair, it doesn't seem like the ones that do that. And I know one, that's got an issue, but I mean, I haven't. I don't know, man. I monitor my son's pitch count quite a bit.
Well,
He's went
and
to
so
100 back in the day, and I was a little concerned that we were going to do the next day. But I mean, he's a pretty well-built little dude. He's going to be 12, and then I also understand, puberty's coming up, and so he hasn't exactly. I'm into fitness, and those muscles, go fast. Your tendons don't have time to catch up, and that's steroid. That's that puberty, which is the same thing as taking testosterone. It's like you're growing too fast and don't catch up enough.
Right.
Torque comes into play, and you got
arm care post exercises.
People throw. I just found out now that it's good to throw a little bit the next day. Just like 20 or so, and that used to be don't do that, and
that's situational. We're talking about strategies of like the 7-day week throwing economy, like I'm talking about, right? That was my point, right?
Dude, I know kids that throw 150 though. I know parents that just don't care. Right. I know personally some people that I'm like, wow, like you're really throwing like that, and then everybody whispers about it, but it happens again,
Right. It just keeps. There's a guy, Josh Rudd, on Twitter. I'm not sure if you follow him or X or whatever you want to call it, but he will go through some of these big tournament pitching things because all the stuff's online, and then just call out organizations like with screenshots of like total pitches for these.
I'm not doing that right now. I'm in some. I've signed some non-disclosure agreements coming up with some of the big ones. Everybody's cool with me right now.
Yeah, exactly.
We got big year coming up next year. I love them all.
Yeah, exactly. So and my point is if you were to look at the other cultures that are training our youth better, like the Dominican Republic and Mexico, is that they're attacking an everyday problem just like we are trying to attack an everyday problem, but they're going about it much smarter with doing different exercises, controlling force output, just like you were talking about throwing the next day, doing more as far as how much strength you can handle and building up capacity through throwing. I think that's one of the biggest issues we deal with over here is that, right? Like we have kids that train with us, and then they go to practice, and nobody's communicating that the day after you throw a bullpen, which is where you should be building your arm, is like inside the skill, the one that requires the most effort and the most skill. You don't have to throw next day at practice. You really don't. And especially if
I throw with my kid. Jalen's 11. I throw with him. We probably throw 3 days a week out here on the sidewalk. We figure it's about 50 feet. I keep it simple. I'm like, what was I doing? My arm was just fine. Now, granted, I didn't play, 25 tournaments a year, but and we usually end it with, some decent little, but he's a smart kid. I've always just been like a lot of kids like that. That's another thing. The 9 and 10-year-olds, a lot of them, a lot of these younger kids, not even age groups, they don't understand that you don't have to, you can have, off speed. Not everything has to be pop, pop. Well, so a lot of these kids throw gas when they're 10, and at 46, they're striking everybody out. Well, then you get that extra 5 feet, and then you realize placement becomes an issue. You don't need everything every time. And that's something that, a lot of pitchers coaches that I've talked to is really push with just don't be smart. It's a chess game when you're up on that mound.
Well, listen,
you've got to get into that dude's head and make him think about, not everything has to be a strike neither, And there's a lot more to it. Like you said, it's a hard sport. And I didn't really realize that until I I learned it differently. I was out of the game for a while.
Are you going to Dallas for ABC?
Yeah. I'm going to have a booth set up there.
We do a live at bat event where I throw, and I throw to anybody. And we do it every year. We do.
I ain't going to hit you. Shoot, man. I hit a golf ball.
Yeah, but that's the funny part.
I did.
Right?
I did get a base hit though against a bunch of MLB players at this celebrity softball game I was at. I did, dude. I got first and everything. I was like, first one. I waited on it. Now, granted, it was softball, but hey, it was a bunch of these dudes were like 40s, 50s, like they were fine.
Yeah,
and I got on base.
There you
go. I was the only dude there that didn't have no World Series ring too, and I was like, yeah.
My point is like when you actually are standing 5 feet from it. I played with 5 guys that threw 100, and I got to talk to them.
Yeah,
and,
dude, that's fast. I've seen that. I've watched that. No,
right.
that's a lot.
And that's what's our cage that we have set up here. We have no foul territory. I mean, we have, like, when we do live at bats, 20, 30 guys.
Did you all have the thing? There's you all have one of them cages set up? I must have walked past you over there. I've seen like 10 of them things set up at that. Dude, that ABCA thing was the coolest thing I've been to.
Oh, right? Yeah, this is what
there was oh, yeah. That looks so clean. Look how neat everything is. You need a big MP3 banner hanging in there. Yeah, I need to get some sunglasses. I don't just spray on here. Get Solero shades. Solero shades, Jesse.
We can do a deal. I got a degree in advertising marketing. I know what you're doing. Right? So, yeah, this is what you see. Those are all our sponsors over there.
Yeah, that's nice, man.
But this is where we literally sit. There's home plate. We are literally 10 feet behind home plate the entire time during live at-bats.
That's cool, man.
So we go hit tracks, TrackMan, radar gun, right? It's just all the technology.
You're in San Diego?
Oh, yeah, baby. Oh, yeah.
Dude, I might be out there. I think I'm going to be out there in October.
Come on.
I will. I'll hit you up.
We should set up like I'm just trying to change the game. Like, literally everything that you're complaining about, we're fighting it. Like, we're fighting the process. Like, we play too many games. We're not good enough to play that many games. You can put a team together and train, but you don't train for 2 weeks.
What do you do exactly? So you got, how many teams you got?
We're going to start off with one, but I haven't been doing teams. I've only been doing.
I did one, so I started that. I have this MP3 national team that I put together, and I did it as fun with some friends that I knew, from kids that I coached around some showcases. I have a buddy of mine who runs a showcase out here in Kentucky, and we go to a few different states. It was baseball youth is what it was, and good group of dudes running that. I like those people. And anyways, I got a good coach for him, whatnot, and then I was able to pick some of these kids at different, throughout different states that would come out, and we ended up with. I put them all together on a little all-star team, and then when I posted that, it turned into a whole thing, and now we're actually looking to take them across the country next year. Yeah. Nothing but the big stuff. All the while, my son's on this team now, and then they're kind of kicking everybody's ass right now. So it's kind of like, well, good Lord, what are you doing this? Because that was a little accident thing that got put together. Pretty solid. Right. But what were you saying? I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, because it's like, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And I understand what you're saying, right? Like, you guys, everybody gets a network. You're saying exactly the same. Let's get the best kids that you can and get them to compete into.
Yeah, and I did it. And I'm sure everybody who don't know me, I try to make some money. No, the thing is I didn't do any of that. I paid for it all, and I just wanted to figure out a way to let's maybe have a decent showcase to make this done correct. Right. And now I've got some people I've been talking to about coaching it correctly. I've got, I'm not trying to get, your $100 for an order of jerseys. But I, and based on, my, following, you're talking about getting into some of these things and helping the tournament promote these things. So then you could realistically put a team together, which is this agency that I just started. It's called Dinger's Agency, which is helping kids grow their brand. And, I don't really push that out a ton, but it helps, the kids be like, listen, he's good enough to maybe, here, help him get set up and started. And maybe I can help him be seen a little bit. And so that's something, because we've been dealing with so many athletes with all these agents, and you start talking to some of them and you're thinking, wow, are they really in the best interest here of this kid? Because my daughter's 16, dude, and I'm 40, so I'm not interested in no BS. I'm like, listen, this is, I got every phone number you can think of in my phone right now with a baseball company, and I can call any one of them guys and be like, hey, I need a bat, and it was just me being nice and just being a decent person who genuinely just said, hey, I think I can help you out. So in return, I post their stuff, and I've met a lot of high level, coaches and owners of companies and, agents and just women's softball and just hitting coaches. I've got a lot of stuff, dude. I've got, you wouldn't believe, like Hilton and me just did a thing together. I was brand ambassador for them and messing around with Gatorade now, and I love Gatorade, but you don't get that video right, they're going to remind you over and over and over again. Go get your GX bottle Gatorade. They don't know if I said anything or not, but But no, man, and it's been cool, and I've really been trying hard to help, the youth out. I wouldn't expect it to happen right now, but you keep pushing this in about 10 years, you might have a decent little,
Well,
little
I mean,
thing going
there's
on.
definitely a real truth to what you're just talking about. Like, are you familiar? I mean, it's funny because we do a lot of tests. Like I said, I was failed as about how to get there. And then after I broke my elbow, I came back, I realized how much marketing and things that you have to do to help you. They will not find you, exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
You have to make a name for yourself. And so we have this question. We just have a bunch of questions to these parents, and this is one of my favorite ones right now because it changes every year. But the very first guy to hack his way in social media into the big leagues is Blaze Jordan. Do you remember Blaze Jordan? You look it up. He's the home run derby champ. Won every home run derby at the university.
Yeah, I
Miami.
apologize. I'm not even gonna lie to you. There was a big time. We're big Kentucky Wildcat basketball fans out here, and Louisville, I guess, whatever. But I'm looking him up right now. Yeah, let's see if familiar. Actually.
So he won the Power Showcase every year. He was involved in it from 9 until 18.
I will. Yeah, I can. What'd you say? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's all good.
Could be fun.
We went. Anyway, Blaze Jordan won the home run derby at this thing called the Power Showcase. They do it at Miami Marlins Stadium in Miami every year. And his parents just posted videos on it. And then he was like the first one doing bat metrics and doing all this stuff. And then he goes in the first round of the Red Sox. He's been in their minor leagues for 7 years. He's not been called up one time.
Yeah.
Right. So
that happens. I know a lot of people that's like that. I know some studs that you're like, man, there he goes. And then the second they get there, they turn right around and it's like, you weren't good enough. And they're like, wow.
Yeah, but he got there. So this year we have the same version of this. Max Clark is the same guy.
I know. I've talked to him. I know his coaches, Indianapolis kid. Right. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, well, he's got a big following. I mean, that's important. Like, you know how many kids I know that are 14 that's got a crap ton of followers, and they're like, hey, people reach. Well, I won't go into it, but I've had some people reach out to me about my kid. Right. It's all about that sucks because I know a couple kids that are pretty good like that. I don't want to go into names, but a few kids on social media that it's all about the money, man. And there's so much to it. And the thing about it is, it's this ain't any different than it is here in like where I'm from. I mean, it's all about who you know. Right. That's it. 100%. Who you know. And tryouts don't even matter anymore. You spin this off to the travel ball world. You think tryouts matter? No, not in these little small towns. It's all about who you know. They build these little alliances trying to hook up everybody. Hey, man, we're going to go here. They need a third baseman. Oh, for real? All right, cool. I'll let you in a couple of days. Let me see what the census says.
Right.
Yeah, it's anywhere. Exactly. It's just tiny little pro,
Tiny little pro baseball. Yeah,
that's all it is, and it's fun. Listen, I know it sounds bad. It's not even that big of a deal because honestly, ain't no getting hurt. For sure. Everybody just wants to whine and complain because it's like, well, he's a Republican, I'm a Democrat.
I'm with you.
I mean, it doesn't.
Once again, you can't. The people that are shooting the videos and complaining aren't playing the game. That's our joke about it. I'm like, well, you're not even in the game. You're just watching the game.
No. 100%. If you even know, you're going to be just fine. And look, we're all at that age with these kids at this travel.
We're going to lose them again.
Just everybody. I'm probably cutting out. You hear me now? I'm switching between. I'm back. Can you hear me now?
Just
now. Wi-Fi, 5G. This ad is not sponsored to you by AT&T because they suck. I want to go to Verizon.
But we got some space on the side of the hat to add that Verizon patch if we need.
That would be kind of
sure.
Yeah, I know. Right?
Yeah, I feel you.
So I'm actually right now delivering T-shirts to all I do is ship shirts anymore. It's not a bad little deal, but it's a lot of work. Thanks to my wonderful wife here. She's been such a big help. I'm not doing it. She's doing it on her day off. Yeah. I'll hear about it later.
Well, my friend, I feel like we've destroyed the internet enough. We've got to do this again. I'll text you and see if we can set up a time to chat.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, I apologize. I've been kind of all over the place. It's just I really didn't expect to. I have two more of these to do today, and I didn't realize how many I had going on. And I just got home, so I got a lot more time. So anytime you want, call me, and we'll jump on here again. This was
Sounds
fun.
good,
Might
man.
even have you on. I'll probably be doing the same thing on my end, and I'll have you on there to talk about some armchair and pitching stuff because I need some good people on there to do some stuff, and I got some funny ideas coming up. When the season's slowing down a little. So
Yeah, sounds good.
But I appreciate you, man, for letting me home and talk to you, man. It was cool.
All right, man. Definitely, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, dude. I'll see you. Bye-bye.